Can you pass this down to Kim? I'm not sure, hoping.
Unless there's something new in it.
Yeah,
There is.
it's just one
Okay.
page.
Okay.
Because I'm not positive which one I mailed out. This one has more detail about, this is for the
Perfect.
building and property infrastructure
Mhm.
improvement.
Okay. All right.
Good, how are you?
All right. Does everyone have everything?
You should find it.
Any other copies coming folks need before we start?
I think so.
Okay. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order, the Jamestown Local Development Corporation. It's 5:35 p.m. Wednesday, October 25th, 2023. This was a rescheduled meeting from last week, Jamestown Local Development Corporation. At this point, we'll start with the approval of the meeting minutes for September 20th, 2023. Any changes, questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right. Need a second? Pick one?
What do you
All
think?
right.
Ladies first. I'll do the second.
Okay. And Luke, any questions or concerns? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Minutes have been passed. We also have the third quarter financial reports here. Any questions on that? Not, we'll hold off till we get the last quarter and approve the financials for the year. Okay. I'll let you guys keep taking a look at those. If we have questions, let us know. So we'll move us along. Good. Excellent.
So the loss, are you, the net income loss?
Is that the bad debt loss that you're saying?
It'd be page one of the profit and loss statement. The last page, I guess, that I printed, unless you guys have something different than I,
The negative net income loss?
yes,
I see.
on both sides.
Okay. We could certainly ask John to give us an explanation of that.
Please,
Yep.
thank you.
Stephanie, do you have that taken up, John?
I sure do.
We'll get the board members some information on that.
Just wanted to make sure I had the same.
All right, next item up is the Good Jobs, Great Cities initiative. It's a strategic planning proposal for the use of the portion of the $500,000 that's available for workforce development. We have Todd Tranum, who's joining us from the Manufacturers Association of the Southern Tier. This was mentioned, and you guys got a brief proposal at the last JLDC meeting, but Todd has come in to talk to you a bit about the program and some of the work we're doing for workforce development that is not the construction trades, but they are a part of the overall program. For those that are wondering, that program is starting off, the construction program with the Builders Exchange of the Southern Tier, and it starts to make its way. We'll ask them to come in and give you guys an update on how that's going. So it's a very important program for folks.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your time and for, I want to thank the city's efforts around this initiative, and just begin by saying, you know, from a manufacturer's perspective, workforce development is the #1 issue. I know all sectors are having a hard time finding people these days, but it has been especially pronounced in the manufacturing sector, and frankly, it's been pronounced probably for the last decade. It's not something that started with, you know, the pandemic. We were having challenges finding workforce prior to the pandemic. So I'm going to condense a lot of words and effort into just a few slides, just to give you kind of a high-level overview of where things are heading with Good Jobs in Great Cities. Obviously, this is an incredible partnership with the National League of Cities and the U.S. Department of Labor and the city, along with Wake Up Mouse. Here we go. 1 second.
There it is.
Is it there?
There it is. All right. Huh. It's interesting. Here we go. Not going to read all these words, but as you know, the city of Jamestown is one of 16 cities that are included in Good Jobs, Great Cities. What I will say is this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. We've been working in workforce development for a long time, the variety of projects, and just the opportunity to be able to collaborate with 15 other cities across the nation, as well as develop a stronger partnership and relationship with the Department of Labor, I think is going to really present some great opportunities for the city of Jamestown and the greater area as it pertains to workforce. The overall challenge, and this has been really identified by our stakeholders who've been involved with this, is connecting all residents to good paying jobs and connecting all employers to skilled workers. There's some more detail around that. I'm not here to read slides to you, I'm here to answer questions, but just want to start with kind of a high level overview. The coalition has really boiled this down to 3 areas of focus. 1, energizing the youth talent pipeline. We got to get more young people interested in connecting with manufacturing, advanced manufacturing opportunities in our community and our region. Building the adult talent pipeline. We know we have a lot of working poor in our community and in the area. So how can we lift them up into some of these job opportunities? And thirdly, working on retention of current and incoming employees. Another area where manufacturers as well as others are having challenges is retaining good employees. And we are focused on making sure as we progress through this that we're informed by data. So we've had help through the Department of Labor, through the State Department of Labor, and then local data to kind of help inform this process as we progress. I want to show you a couple pictures because I think this kind of helps best explain what it can look like. This is about creating a better system locally. We have great organizations and great programs, and really this is about bringing everybody to the table so we're working collaboratively and we can understand where there may be gaps, where we're missing opportunities, where organizations may need some help building capacity. It's not always about identifying, that, perfect program out there that's going to solve all of our issues. This is based on the belief that embedded in a lot of the organizations in our community that are doing good work, that we need to figure out how we can lift them up, empower them, and give them the resources they need. And yeah, maybe along the way we identify some gaps or some programming gaps, and we work towards addressing that. But this kind of paints a picture of some of the different organizations that are involved and what this looks like from a systems perspective. So this is looking at it from a student pathway perspective. So where are the students? Well, they're in our grade schools, in our middle schools, our high schools. They're involved in Chautauqua Striders. They're at the Y. They're at the Boys and Girls Club. They're at the YWCA, they're within BOCES, Chautauqua Works, our local workforce investment board works with kids. So there's a bunch of organizations that are at the table working on career exploration. And then part of our goal is to get more of these kids connected with job shadowing, mentorship, internships, pre-apprentice opportunities. We know we've got some great training partners in our community with the community college, the Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Union, the IBEW, the P-Tech program here in the county, and also Job Corps has been part of this discussion because we see them also as an important component to recruiting and retaining talent. And then the ultimate goal is to build this talent pipeline and get these folks placed within the manufacturing sector. Along the way, we know a lot of these kids, and when I get to the adult pipeline example, we know a lot of these folks need wraparound supports along the way. Folks are facing a lot of issues out there, And again, we've got some good programs here locally now. We've got Goodwill reestablished in the community with their Good Skills Career Builder program and with a strong connection to training at JCC. And then at the Resource Center, the SAFER program, which has had some success in terms of helping with employee retention. So we're looking at, how can we bring all these partners together to do a better job addressing the workforce needs of our community. And then, just one more slide here. So this speaks to, the adult learners. So where are the adult learners? Well, they're down at the Mental Health Association, right? They're within Chautauqua Works at our WIB. They're within Goodwill. They're within Journey's End and our immigrant population and our temp agencies. How do we bring these organizations together to funnel them into some of the training opportunities that are available and maximize some of these opportunities being provided by Goodwill, and then get them onto a career path, training pathway through some of our training, local training providers. Again, the wraparound services are an important component of this. We're going to be leaning a lot on the Resource Center, their SAFER program, as well as some of the other entities that provide the necessary wraparound supports, and hopefully building this talent pipeline and getting folks into the workforce. Are there any questions up to this point before I just do kind of high level of what our proposal is related to this? No? Okay. So you've got more detailed information in your package, but what we're proposing is to help with management facilitation of this initiative. We've already been doing this work, but there's a lot more to be done. So facilitation, oversight, participating on the coaching calls with Good Jobs, Great Cities. We were actually asked to present kind of a best practice on the last call with the other 15 cities related to how to engage with stakeholders in your community. Helping support the site visit of some of the representatives from the Department of Labor, as well as some of the other cities. The other part of this is to help think about how the remaining ARPA funds could be best utilized to help support this initiative. Again, where are the gaps? Where can those funds best be used to help support organizations and entities that are doing good things in our community, as well as identifying how to make this a sustainable model and continue well into the future. Our deliverables would be to, you can check these first two off. Build a multi-stakeholder coalition. We've done that in partnership with the city and the mayor. Implement a process and strategy for long-term coalition success. We've brought some tools to the table that we've used and we've been trained to use to help keep this coalition moving forward and continuing into the future. Develop a strategic funding approach, recommendation that would come back here for the remaining ARPA funding. Develop a strategic funding approach and recommendation for potential United States Department of Labor funds. And connect current and future emerging opportunities to the City of Jamestown Good Jobs, Great Cities initiative. Like I said, this is in some ways a historical moment in terms of opportunity, kind of once in generation opportunities. There's some interesting things going on in our region and across the state that we're connected into and can help bring to the table, including the Western New York Manufacturing and Technology Coalition, which is supported by Empire State Development and the Ralph Wilson Foundation, as well as the University of Buffalo. Various New York State Department of Labor initiatives, and things coming through the New York State Workforce Investment Board that could have bring opportunity and have implications here for Jamestown. Our connectivity with the Appalachian Region Commission and our work with Southern Tier West, as well as our work with the Regional Economic Development Council. And as you might have seen, I believe it was yesterday, New York's been identified as a Smart Eye Corridor Tech Hub from Syracuse, Rochester to Buffalo. if some funding through that comes to fruition, that could have some implications and be some opportunity for Jamestown and the Jamestown area. So that's kind of an overview of the initiative, where we see it heading, and where we feel we can provide some value and keep this initiative moving forward.
Questions? We appreciate it, Todd. So one of the things I think Todd's been really great about is he's been working directly with the Department of Labor on how a lot of our local agencies, once we determine how to best use the workforce development funds, they can then tap into additional Department of Labor federal funding. So there's specialty programs that are going on that would fund some of the work our local agencies are already doing and double their funding. So we appreciate that work, and I think the request is to help us not only through the process, but help us to determine how to best use the remaining rescue plan funds for workforce development. And so I think the request is for $50,000 from that workforce development fund.
I didn't print his other stuff there. Do you have stuff on it?
I do.
I must have missed that one. Lord knows how.
That would be strategic planning proposal and then
Sorry, it takes a minute.
these two.
Thank you.
Of course. If I can, I would just add that Todd has really been taking this project forward for us. I know you're all probably thinking, well, why can't Tim and Stephanie do this? Well, because he's the expert here, and with his experience in collaborations and experience in coalition building, all his connections with now with DOL and beyond, and it's really, and I believe in our best interest to move in this direction.
So the budget is just, I see just hours, is that kind of, there's no,
Yeah, I put together some detail just to give it, a little bit of back and where the thought process came from. And obviously on our end, that's how we work. That's how we figure out,
Gotcha.
our cost allocation for this
Okay.
type of work, so
and what goes into that cost allocation, like your time specifically?
primarily, yeah,
So the $114 an hour is your time.
primarily, and time of the organization. That would be equivalent to probably what we would charge. For example, you can set a, an amount with your overhead and such that you would charge to a grant. So it's not based on a typical consulting fee. I think if you were to hire a consultant to do this work, you would be paying a lot more. I've worked with consultants that do this type of work who charge $10,000 a day to come over and kind of tell your community a lot about what you already know about your community and, bring some of their processes and resources and, some value to that. But, just from the perspective, we're here, we're part of the community, we want to be engaged in this and help lead it. But, we are allocating time for this. So.
Okay, any questions?
And I'm assuming he's the only one who expressed an interest in doing this.
That's correct.
So, excuse my ignorance, but this is, it's kind of be like job training, is it gonna be at the manufacturer's facilities, is where these individuals will be going for training? Is that fair to say?
That's a good question, and some of that will be borne out by kind of working with the stakeholders here.
Sure.
It could be a combination of things. We know we need to get more young people.
Give me some
Engaged
examples of
in-
some manufacturers around here that you would be targeting or going after to implement this program.
Okay, Rand Machine,
Okay.
you want me to go down the list of Jamestown manufacturers?
No,
Cummins,
throw a few out there. that
yeah,
you-
Blackstone,
Okay.
Nail, Ultrasonics, Bush Industries,
Okay.
others, yeah.
No longer Bush Industries.
What's that?
No longer Bush Industries.
All right.
These solutions.
E-Solutions, sorry. I stand corrected.
So you would basically be approaching these businesses and bringing individuals to them to train,
Our partners,
right?
yeah. I mean, this is and sometimes it's hard to explain this, but this is really about saying, hey, we've got a lot of resources here, you know, and I know firsthand, you know, because we're part of it, the effort and the work that was put into the community college in terms of putting in some infrastructure around industrial training. But it's about bringing together some of these partners that sometimes get siloed and don't necessarily know what the others are doing, and figuring out, you know, where the gaps are and what we can do to better reach some of the populations that need help and get those populations connected to the opportunities that are available. It could be in a number of forms. It could be a referral or connection over to the IBEW for they do a great job with their apprenticeship program in the electrical trades.
Sure.
It could be a referral to Goodwill to get people job ready or at least ready to go into further career training. It could be a referral to JCC into their, one of their tech, welding tech or the machining tech program.
What are they doing now?
In terms of which partners?
Any of our manufacturers now, are they just kinda on their own looking for workers
That's a
or?
good question. Yeah, well, it's interesting. I actually just saw some data. The number one way to recruit people is word of mouth in terms of successful. A lot of companies are on Indeed. And the third one is they're recruiting through their websites. That's some statewide data. We are finding, it's interesting, things have sort of come full circle. Some manufacturers are now going directly to the high schools. It used to be.
You use a program through JCC as well.
Correct. Yep. There's programs through JCC. Placement opportunities through JCC as well.
Some are going to temp agencies as well, correct?
Yep.
Sally Cummins.
When we brought a lot of the various agencies together, we found that many of them are doing similar things to varying different degrees. We found that the YMCA had a workforce development program that was the same as another program, and it was the first time that those agencies ever realized that they were duplicating the same things and serving the same people, when really it could have been they could have worked together and increased their ability to make things happen, right? To get that to a manufacturer, to get that to whatever needed that job. So it's been interesting along the way, just with the first couple of meetings we've done with 20-some partners all together on how much duplication of services is happening and how they're all kind of competing for the same groups. When they work together, they could get a much larger net and combine resources and also get some additional federal funding or state funding to help that process.
There's definitely a need. I mean, you hear all the time that there's the lack of workers all over the place, so, or lack of trained workers. I know, on the political side, everyone's like, well, let's try to develop more industry here. Let's attract industry, but if you don't have qualified workers to put in those positions, it's not gonna work.
There are some partners that are upskilling, as they're calling it, which is a really unique thing that we're starting to see, which is how do you take individuals that may have been in other manufacturing fields or other fields in general and get them the skills they need to work these newer manufacturing jobs. And that's almost as important as getting kids into the pipeline in this community, because there's a lot of open jobs that are going unfilled.
So as of right now, we're talking $50,000 commitment. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, I shorted him a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's okay.
$1,002.
I prefer it even. Sorry, Tom. Okay. questions?
Appreciate everybody's time.
Mhm.
If you have any more
Thanks, Todd.
questions, you got my card.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
So the $50,000 would come from the workforce development funding that we have. It currently has $500,000 in it. This is the non-construction trades. Do we have a motion?
I have to recuse myself.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Second. Any questions or concerns? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Me.
One abstention. Okay. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you again, Todd.
Thank you.
Appreciate that work.
We appreciate the partnership.
We're gonna have you come back in and present more later.
Happy to. I'll bring all 70 slides. How's that?
Thank you for cutting it down. All right, is there any other old business? All right, we'll move on to new business. The first one is the consideration for approval of the second round of the Building and Property Infrastructure Improvement Grant Program. We have Tim Odell here to talk to us a bit about how that's going.
Thank you everybody for your time as usual. Thanks for your time this evening. Just to give a brief overview for the DPI second round, the applications were received from September 6th through October 6th, and we received a total of 7 applications. Looking at the spreadsheet, we have received $171,900 in total requested funds and a program maximum of $75,625. All applications were selected and considered for funding under our review committee. And the amounts were 100% rubric based and were scaled by percentage of the requested amount, which there is a mentioned at the bottom that shows the percentage breakdown for awards. Moving into the projects a little bit, for Embroidered Designs, they're utilizing the funds to extend their building 12 by 24 feet to make more room for their equipment and inventory, which will allow them to be more efficient in production. United Industries, their funds will be utilized for a roof replacement for the building, as there is water damage due to multiple leaks throughout the structures. And also the funds will be utilized towards ceiling repairs, which are also suffering from water-related damage. And with a new roof in place, they plan to redirect their monies back into the business by providing certification trainings, focusing on product development enhancement, marketing and advertising, improving their efficiency. Chautauqua Art Gallery, they plan to utilize their funds for a rubber roof replacement and replacement of the top row of bricks on their north wall. Monies will also be redirected back into a new framing business that is being added to the gallery, which is a new service they hope to bring into their business. ARM Suture and Sun Public Accountants, they plan to utilize their funds to replace a 15-year-old roof, as well as make repairs to a second floor ceiling due to a roof leak that has suffered severe damage. Regula Development LLC, their funds will be utilized toward replacing the existing gas furnace and forced air HVAC systems with a mini split system in the first floor space that is currently occupied by Chautauqua Music. The return on investment for their project would be that the new HVAC upgrades would be less costly in the long term for them to operate, and it will help ensure that their first floor tenants are more comfortable in their day-to-day operations. And for the redirection of funds for the project, they want to use it towards future redevelopment of the 5,000 square foot fourth floor of the building, and they currently have a tenant who has expressed interest in expanding their business into the fourth floor. For Fenton Associates, they'll be utilizing their fund toward a roofing replacement as well, and their monies will be redirected to be spent on capital improvements such as upgrading their bathrooms and handicap accessible bathrooms. And they also plan to upgrade their HVAC systems, including the plumbing integrity to allow more commercial tenant expansion. And the new roof for their project will ensure long-term sustainability of the 11 businesses who are tenants under them. And lastly, the Glorious Beauty Salon, their plan entails utilizing funds to make building repairs at their business, and this includes windows, walls, floors, and doorways. And that is the general overview of it all. Is there any questions that I can answer for anybody?
These are the only 7 that applied.
Yes, that's correct.
And what was the total amount available?
$75,625. So there's
Okay.
3 cents that are not allocated.
And the percentage amount of requested is based on the rubric score?
Yes, that is correct.
So you guys have given us what the recommendations would be for each
Oh, yes, sir.
category based on the projects
Mhm.
and the return on investment. Have there been any conversations with these businesses about whether their project would continue if they didn't get the full requested amount?
So initially for this grant, they have to put in 25% of their own funding anyway for these projects to occur. And for some of them who would not get their full requested amount, the ceiling works and the HVAC systems, we can still support the projects in some shape or form, whether it's the full amounts or not.
Okay, great, thank you. Other questions that folks have? I think it was great to see 7 additional projects being funded under this, absolutely, and I know that with this extra round, although it's hard for us not to be able to fully fund all of those projects, I think it's a good start for many of those. So I think now's a question of, are we comfortable with the amounts that have been proposed? Are there changes that folks wanna make to it? Any additional questions about projects? Does anyone wanna pick the project that gets the extra 3 cents?
So, do these fall in line though with everything else we did on this grant, I guess, that's the question, I mean, we're not like going from A to Z and they're not somewhat close in similarity as far as the award goes?
You mean the amount of the award?
Well, just even the
Quality.
percentage of it, not necessarily dollar value, but,
I would say the percentage of it, it's a lot less than our other ones, obviously.
right, but your rubric score and your recommendations fall in line with what you did on the other one. I guess what I'm looking for
Yeah.
is I don't want this to have different criteria than what we did on the other
Right.
remaining money.
Right, no, you can answer that too. I mean, the rubric score here, it's a little weighted because we had so little money compared with the
Understand.
rest. But, we did the same type of rubric scoring with the other ones as well.
Yeah, same rubric was utilized for the previous round.
I noticed with Glorious Beauty Salon though, that the requested amount isn't it's like almost 100% of what so that 25% owner
Oh, yeah.
investment, and not like they're gonna be awarded,
Yeah.
but I think the 3 cents should go to the Fenton Associates who have the largest estimated project cost.
That's gonna make a difference right there.
You know,
They're gonna break the bank.
that's the part that kind of breaks my heart, is that some of these projects are big, but the rubric score is the rubric score, so. Thank you for the rubrics.
Do you want to explain a little bit about the Glorious Beauty Salon, why we think that the 4,700 is going to be adequate for them?
Right, so with their application, it was around 5,000 that were gonna be used on direct building repairs and some of the other requests, and they're referring more to business expansion over
Yeah,
the actual building repairs
Right.
themselves.
Gotcha.
so I mean,
Hey,
they could
question
get that
that too.
4,700.
It was a what if we rebuild the bottom, maybe we can rent it out to someone else, but it wasn't a commitment to,
Right.
we're really gonna do this,
Mhm.
just my 2 cents.
Yeah. We can't with this grant, it's only for
Right.
the building
Right.
property.
Yeah, okay.
So I definitely agree with that.
That makes sense, okay.
So the 5 grand should cover the building needs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only one on here here that has already received, funding was through the Evolution Grant that was Chautauqua Art Gallery. And it was only, what, 15,000?
50,000 previously
15,000.
received.
For building repair also?
No, that was for, an evolution in their business, so
Okay.
they brought in painting classes and what else did they bring in?
Mostly use to support, classes for customers.
Motion to move this forward.
Okay, so if I got the motion correct, we have, I'm just gonna read them as we have it. So embroidered designs by Debbie in the amount of $17,240.71. United Industries Inc. in the amount of $14,730.71. Chautauqua Art Gallery in the amount of $12,230.17. Any, I'm sorry?
71 cents.
71 cents. $12,230.71. I was not trying to reallocate the 3 cents. Hayden Sugar and Son Accountants, $9,730.71. Regula Development LLC, $9,730.71. Fenton Associates, $7,230.71.
But she wanted to give the 3 cents to 74 cents.
74 cents there, yeah.
So
would
we
be
got
74.
$7,230.74.
Sorry, just wanted to
So-
make sure I didn't forget the 3 cents.
And Gloria's Beauty Salon, $4,730.71. Now, Jeff, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. Any questions, concerns, comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, we'll approve those building property infrastructure improvements. And thank you all, and thank you to the staff for going through those in that second round, leveraging those. How many projects were in the first round?
I can't even
10,
remember.
I believe.
So 17 projects total from this fund, pretty good.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you. All right, next up on the agenda is the discussion of the fund for downtown programming. Looks like we received a request. Stephanie, if you want to talk about
We
it?
did, this, comes from the Collaborative Children's Solutions. There is a change in this, they are no longer seeking funding for the Gus Macker. Reason being, the scheduling had to be completed by November 1st, and not knowing if this, funding was gonna go through, he pulled it from Jamestown and will be going to another city. The reason that, it's questionable if the funding will go through is because we only have $3,100 left in our fund for downtown programming. And I think it was Crystal's hope that we could, request further funding, but, you know, that would just take so long, and even though something still can happen, it won't help, Children's Collaborative Solutions. So we're only looking at the, St. Patrick's Day celebration. They did this last year, same type of event. And, on the back page, you'll see that everything's separated. And the total cost for the St. Patrick's Day event is $7,000. So, you know, $3,100 would be a nice little dent in that, and that would deplete our fund completely. There's quite a bit going on that one day. So I guess what we're looking here is, can we spend the additional funding on this St. Patrick's Day event and I guess close out our fund for downtown programming?
Oh, definitely saddens me the thought that we've managed to get the Gus Macker back, and now it's gonna be gone again. I think that's a big draw for downtown.
I would certainly say that this second round of funding for the programming seemed to be very successful in terms of events that were brought downtown in the city. So if we get the opportunity to do another fund, I think it's certainly been worthwhile in terms of sizes and expectations and people that we received for those events. So if we do have an opportunity to refund it in some way, shape, or form, I think it's worthwhile. And maybe it extends a little more than just the downtown forward.
Have funds ever been allocated through the executive budget for downtown funding like this?
Yes. In the past.
Yes, there is a special programming fund that we do use for various events in the city. The downtown programming initiative came from the DRI initiative, which was the original fund for it.
So, and back in the day, yes, Labor Day was part in there. There were other events that were in the budget at one point in time.
I know it's too late now, but was it ever in your mind about when we were running low on this funding and we could have done something in the executive budget?
Not when we originally did the budget.
Right.
Not when we originally did the budget, but certainly open to that as the city council goes through the budget currently.
But it would still probably be too late for the matter, cause I think they
Yes.
had some definitive timelines that had to be met.
November 1st.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're asking very early this year, I think, for
Yeah.
that. So. I think the costs are probably still more than what we would pay for a festival from the city's budget normally as well. But it's certainly worthwhile, and we can take a look at that.
Has anyone ever sat down, like say with Gus Macker, and I know it can't be exact, but you know, over that weekend, really tried to dissect on what the city's bringing in with people coming in, spending money, and I know it's probably not possible to get an exact number, but I'm just talking about bang for buck, I guess, on having this in the city.
I can tell you that estimated for the World Series is $2 million in revenue from a
Yeah.
week-long event, 10 days.
And we have like a community impact statement that I collected from the Fund for Downtown Programming from this money, from our money.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out, I think I got about 6 different ones who wrote in. It's no, like you said, it's not definitive, but it's
Sure.
to say, you know, this is what we did and maybe
Right.
our ticket sales and,
Right.
you know, but it's hard to tell. You know, the chamber, they have a really neat way of following people to
Mhm.
know, you know, who came to this event and where they ate and what they did, and they do it
Right.
all with that QR code. You
Yeah.
know, they did that with the downtown cruise in,
Yeah.
so. in the
Yeah, I'm just
future, there's
wondering, you know,
something we
someone
can
like
do.
Brown Roasting steps forward and says, you know, we had a huge weekend that, you know, if there was ways to track that, so, you know, then we know we're getting the best bang for the buck then.
There are some things that we can track, sales tax, and there's some new software out there that gives you estimates on the number of people that, you know, came and visited stores and other locations and things like that, but we can certainly look into it, try to see that impact. The sales tax data would be probably lagged from when the Gus Macker is, so we should probably see that soon. It'll be around the same time as the World Series, so it'll have that
That
impact
was
as
the
well.
tail end of last weekend, so. We'll have a lot of bed tax and a lot of sales tax from the World Series.
And the state comptroller actually does break down the sales tax amounts besides the bed tax, so we can try to pull that as well. But that does lag a couple, a quarter or two behind for that reporting data. So at this point, we've got $3,100 left in the downtown programming fund for downtown programming.
And this is your recommendation to give it to him, so. So move.
Okay. We've got a motion for $3,100 for the St. Patrick's Day event. We have a second?
Second?
We have a second. Any questions or concerns, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. 3,100 for that, for the program. Any other new business to come before the board? Any announcements? There is no executive session, so it's on the agenda. If nothing else, we'll have a motion to adjourn. From everyone, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Trying to
Go
get
walk
you
your
out while
dog.
it's still light.
Go walk your dog. Next week will be right on the walker.
Are we switching?
November
Daylight.
5th, I think
November.
it is.
First Saturday in November.
You're welcome.
Oh, I was out running in the morning, I was going to the gym, there's so much daylight, and now I'm not.
I was running on Tuesday, I actually was running first, and I caught on a brick and I did a somersault. I was terrible.
Thank you.
I never fall. I scraped my hand.
All the dark and rain.
No.
So I see.
It's been rainy for days.
Yeah.